fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Core Class Shockwave from the second wave of the Transformers Legacy line from Hasbro. So this finally arrived from Amazon. I ordered it at the same time as the G2 Megatron, and for whatever reason it just got here like a complete week after. So I don't really know why, but I am happy to finally have it. You can see we have the open packaging here with the figure kind of poking out on the front. Really nice artwork here on the top. Over here we have some nice artwork of the robot mode for Shockwave, and then we have the typical Decepticon like mural that we always get for Legacy. Over here on the back we have the robot mode, we have the vehicle mode. Once again they have given him some kind of like spaceship looking, satellite looking alt mode, which is kind of what we've been getting for Shockwave recently. But yeah, he looks pretty cool. Gonna go ahead and get him out of the packaging here and we'll take a closer look. So here he is out of the packaging and he looks pretty good. He's a very dark shade of purple, though. I kind of wish he wasn't this dark. Just a little bit lighter, because I feel like a lot of the details get kind of lost because he's such a dark-colored plastic. But you have a nice Decepticon symbol there on the shoulders. Some nice silver paint here on the chest. The eye is painted a very nice yellow. Nice silver paint here for kind of his ears, and then these barrels here on these wing pieces, some silver paint down there as well. Now I believe the thigh pieces are actually made out of the purple as well, but then they're completely painted silver. And you can kind of see because the ball joint stalks down here are purple, so I'm pretty sure that's fully painted. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's all purple plastic. And then you have some nice silver down here on the sides of the legs and for the toes as well. So he's a good looking figure. Pretty decent amount of paint. I do kind of wish that there was some silver here for the gun hand, because I feel like that gets kind of lost just being purple, but not a big deal. Yeah, otherwise I think he's pretty good. Head can swivel from side to side. You have a joint here in the shoulder that's needed for transformation, as well as a ball joint in the actual shoulder here, so kind of nice articulation there for the shoulders. Ball joint in the elbows. We don't have a waist swivel. We do have a ball joint here in the hip. And then you have a ball joint in the knee. But you also have this weird kind of joint because these flip closed for the transformation. So it's almost kind of like an extra knee joint. It's a little weird. It's not really meant to be utilized that way. It's just a ball joint there in the knee. But you do have that movement nonetheless. He does come with one accessory here. We have this giant radar dish thing. He does have a peg hole on the back here. So if you want to peg it in to the end of his gun, you can certainly do that. Or if you want him to just hold it in his other hand, there's a peg on the bottom part that you can just peg into his hand. It's a weird accessory. I mean, I don't really need him to have an accessory because he has the gun hand. I would have rather no accessory and apply that paint to the figure itself. But that's just me. And I definitely don't think they're doing anything in terms of having the weapons combined together again, because Megatron just came with the same weapons as the original Megatron, and this obviously doesn't look like it's meant to combine in any way. So they're back to just doing the normal accessories per figure. Just to do a quick comparison here, let me zoom out. Here is the Bumblebee Core Class Shockwave that we got not too long ago. So it's kind of two Core Class Shockwaves pretty close together. And I kind of like, I don't necessarily want this shade of purple, but maybe a little more cartoon accurate purple, because I feel like this is probably more original toy color scheme purple, which was very dark, but I was hoping for more of an animation model, which is kind of even a little bit lighter than this. But you can see they look pretty cool. I think they're both neat in their own way. Two definitely very different designs. Definitely more G1 accurate and definitely more movie-esque over here. So two Core Class Shockwaves and probably within the same year, which is kind of funny, but two very different. So let's go ahead, let's get into the transformation here. Alright, transformation is actually pretty simple. If you have the accessory in his hand or anywhere, just take that off, put it off to the side. We're going to come around to the back. We have these wing pieces here that we're going to flip out like so. And you can see that that's going to uncover four little like notches, little peg holes right there on the back. And as you can see, he's got these four pegs on his arms. So he's got one on each shoulder and then one on each forearm. So we're going to raise the arms straight over his head, bring them up a little bit on that secondary shoulder joint. you're going to want to go ahead and push the head down. You can kind of lift this, unpeg that, and then push the head down just a little bit to get it started. And then you can put the arms all the way up like so. And then these little peg spots here are going to peg into the 4 pegs on the arm. So bring these down. And then you just kind of straighten that out. And then make sure all of the pegs line up, which can be a little easier said than done. But it's not too difficult. So just make sure that's all pretty solid. And then just straighten out the wings. And then that just kind of all goes there like that. It's kind of the whole back end of the flying ship, spaceship, radar dish, whatever, satellite, whatever you want to call it. We're going to come down here. You can see that there's kind of a hinge here in the crotch, which we're going to flip down and then straighten the legs out to give them a little bit more height. And then you're just going to turn the leg inside like that and then bring this around. And this is going to pop up here. Now you can see that there's kind of like a little hook, and that's going to fit into this little channel here. So this is going to come up and slide on like that. So flip this around again. Now the funny thing is, as you do that, that kind of weird secondary knee joint I talked about in the robot mode, it's this covering here. Otherwise this would kind of be flipped up. But you want that to close up because that's kind of, you know, if you're using this as a gun or if it's a spaceship, that it covers the open area that would be the knees. The directions actually don't show these covering up, which is actually kind of hilarious to me. But they'll just do it naturally. As you kind of peg this together, it will naturally do that because as you bring this around, it's kind of hard to, I guess if you tried, you could really, but see, they have, the directions have the knees still staying like that. But to get it to go all the way around, it kind of naturally has to do it. So I just thought that was funny that the directions messed up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is your spaceship, satellite, whatever you want it to be. I do kind of wish that these were painted. I'm assuming it's a situation where because of how they press right against the inside of the knees, they were probably afraid that that would wear off over time. And I can understand that. But it would have been nice if that could have been some other color. You can bring that accessory back in, and there is a peg hole right there on the top. So you can just go ahead and peg that in if you want to add the giant radar dish. So there is that. Otherwise, there's a little spot right here. You can see that this is kind of a little cylinder that you can actually flip this part down, and then you can actually use him as a gun, which is kind of cool. So the larger robots can actually use him as a gun. Now, it doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things because they've kind of been redoing all of the G1 characters in the core class so that they're kind of all in scale with each other. So kind of to then suggest that this is a weapon for the other larger figures kind of throws that off. But whatever, if you just want to have fun and use this guy as a gun, you certainly can. I guess technically you could give it to maybe like Menasor or somebody like that because the core class would kind of be in a decent scale with Menasor. I don't know. I know Bruticus used him as a gun one time in that episode, so that's kind of neat. The one thing I will say, though, is trying to put this back is very difficult because once you click this into place, it kind of stays there. And then trying to move like just this piece back, it really wants to bring the head with it. So you kind of have to push on this to get this, and it still wants to do it. You have to kind of push the head in and push that back, and it always unpegs this. So just something to be aware of. Again, not a big deal. But to try to put that piece back where it goes, it really disconnects all of the arm stuff going on back here. So you'll have to kind of reconnect all that. But yeah, pretty cool little alt mode. And just real quick for an idea of scale, here is Toy Accurate Color Scheme Galvatron holding him as a gun, just so you get a relative idea about how he would fit with one of the larger figures. So I think Shockwave's pretty fun. He's not perfect, and I definitely don't think he's the best core class Shockwave we've ever gotten. I really wish I had the Titans Return one handy. Sadly, it's been packed away for quite a while now. But I remember really liking that one quite a bit. This one, again, not too bad, but there's just a couple things I would change. I definitely would make him a lighter shade of purple. I would have gone with a more cartoon-accurate shade of purple instead of the like darker shade of the original toy. Just a lot of the molded in details kind of lost because it's such a dark shade of purple. Definitely wish he had a few more paint applications as well. Definitely wish the gun on the hand here was painted. And then when he's transformed into the gun slash spaceship slash satellite mode, I wish these pieces here were painted in. Again, I assume that's because they just assumed that rubbing right against the inside of the knee probably would wear off over time, and I can understand that. The accessory doesn't really do much for me, and I feel like this is where a lot of the paint applications went, because I believe this whole thing is molded in purple, and then this is all painted silver, and then the inside is painted this orangish red. So a lot of paint went into this, where I would have rather this just not exist at all, and I would have rather the paint applications went into the figure itself. But there are things that I like. I do like the head. I think that's molded and painted very well. I like the Decepticon symbols there on the shoulders, and I do think he's got pretty good articulation. He's got a bit of a backpack, but I feel like it's fairly compressed, and it doesn't really get in the way at all. And I do kind of like the guns on the back. I know that's kind of a new look for Shockwave, but I think it's kind of cool. The alt mode's not bad. I like that you can use it as a spaceship or a satellite, and you can even use it as a gun. It has that piece, the handle that can fold down so that the larger robots can use it as a gun, which is nice. I mean, I like that that functionality's been built in. I'm kind of just doing all of this like core class G1 characters and kind of keeping them together as kind of their own like microverse where all the characters are the same size. I'm not really incorporating them with the rest of my, War for Cybertron trilogy legacy. I'm kind of keeping that as kind of a separate thing. I'm not really having them interact, but that's just me personally. I mean, if you want to go ahead and have a tiny Shockwave transform into a gun for one of your larger figures, you absolutely have that option. So I'm glad the functionality is built in. Kind of wish the hand over here was painted as well. The hand and the gun, I wish were kind of a silver to match the thighs. So again, if I could take the paint applications from this and put them into the figure itself, I absolutely would have done that. And then I don't even need this at all. I would just pretend that didn't exist and take the resources and apply them to the figure here. But all that said, I definitely think he's still fun. I think he's cool, and it's fun to have him to add to the collection of little core class G1 characters that we've been getting. But again, if you have the Titans Return, I think it was Titans Return. It was one of the trilogy from that those three. It was either Combiner Wars, Titans Return, or Power of the Primes. Definitely think it was Titans Return. In any case, that one I remember really liking a lot. So you could kind of just grab that guy and put him with your core class Transformers that you've been collecting from recent years. But if you're in the market for a new little core class Shockwave, I think this guy's pretty good. Like I said, he's not perfect in my opinion, but he's still a good time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.